All right, everyone get ready, because today we are going deep into the world of automotive drivetrains. We've got articles, research, the whole shebang. We're going to make you a drivetrain pro by the end of this.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be talking about how a car moves, the system that takes the power from the engine and delivers it to the wheels to make it go vroom.
And the type of drivetrain that a car uses, it is a really big deal. It affects everything, from the fuel efficiency to how it handles and how much fun it is to drive.
Definitely a bigger decision than just choosing a color.
That's for sure. So to kick things off, let's go all the way back to the beginning. Did you know that the very first car, the 1885 Benz patent motor wagon, was rear-wheel drive?
It was. And for over a century, rear-wheel drive, or RWD, reigned supreme.
Wow!
So just imagine the power of the engine pushing the car from behind.
Like an invisible hand?
Yeah, like an invisible hand propelling it forward.
I like that. But nowadays, you see a lot more front-wheel drive cars on the road, especially those smaller, more fuel-efficient models.
Yeah. There was a big shift towards front-wheel drive, or FWD, in the 90s, when automakers really started focusing on creating more space-efficient and economical cars.
Makes sense.
So think of front-wheel drive as the front wheels are pulling the car along.
Okay, so it's like those pullback toy cars we had as kids, except way more sophisticated.
Exactly.
But if rear-wheel drive was the classic, why the change?
Well, front-wheel drive has some distinct advantages. For one, it's inherently more fuel efficient, fewer moving parts, less weight, less mechanical drag, so fewer trips to the gas station, and a smaller carbon footprint.
It's especially important these days when gas prices are so high, and everyone's thinking about sustainability.
For sure. Plus, front-wheel drive cars are generally cheaper to manufacture, so those savings get passed on to the buyer.
Everybody likes that. But are there downsides to all this front-wheel focus? I've heard some people say that front-wheel drive cars don't handle as well, especially in, challenging conditions.
It's a common concern. And it's true that front-wheel drive has its quirks, so that weight over the front wheels can sometimes create that feeling of understeer, especially in turns. Like if you're pushing a shopping cart too fast, it wants to keep going straight, even when you're trying to turn.
Okay, yeah, I can relate to that runaway shopping cart feeling.
And because those front wheels are responsible for both steering and powering the car, they can sometimes struggle to deliver that same snappy acceleration you might get with other drivetrains.
So maybe not the best choice for aspiring race car drivers.
Probably not. But that's not to say that front-wheel drive can't be fun to drive. Remember the original Mini Cooper? That little car was legendary for its nimble handling, and it was front-wheel drive.
That's a good point. So front-wheel drive is practical, economical, and in the right hands can be a blast to drive. But what about rear-wheel drive, that classic drivetrain that we were talking about?
Ah, rear-wheel drive, the choice of driving enthusiasts, and those who really appreciate a more balanced and connected driving experience.
What makes it so special?
Well, think about it. With rear-wheel drive, the weight of the car is distributed more evenly between the front and rear axles, creates a sense of balance and poise, especially when cornering.
So it's more like a graceful dance than a frantic scramble.
Exactly. And that weight distribution over the driven wheels also means better acceleration. When you hit the gas in a rear-wheel drive car, you really feel that push from behind.
No wonder it's favored for performance cars.
Right. And let's not forget the design flexibility rear-wheel drive offers. The engine can be placed in the front, middle, or even the back, giving designers more freedom to create unique and exciting vehicles.
Like those sleek, mid-engine sports cars that you see tearing up the racetrack.
Precisely. But rear-wheel drive isn't just about thrills and spills, it's also incredibly practical, especially if you need to tow heavy loads.
Wait, really? I would have thought front-wheel drive, with its weight over the front wheels, would be better for towing.
That's a common misconception. When you hook up a trailer to a rear-wheel drive vehicle, the weight of the trailer actually shifts more weight over the rear wheels, which enhances traction. It's like the trailer's helping to push the car forward.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. So rear-wheel drive is great for towing because the physics actually work in its favor.
You got it. But there's a trade-off, and it's an important one, especially if you live in an area with some challenging weather conditions.
This must be where that rear-wheel drive is dangerous in snow argument comes in.
Yeah, exactly. Because those rear wheels are responsible for propulsion. They can lose traction more easily in slippery conditions, leading to oversteer. Imagine the back end of the car wanting to swing out, like it's trying to overtake the front.
Okay, that sounds a little less graceful and a lot more terrifying. So while rear-wheel drive might be the performance and handling champ, it does require a bit more caution and finesse when the roads get slick.
You got it. It's all about knowing your car and adapting your driving style to the conditions.
So we've covered front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. But there's a whole other world of drivetrains out there. What about those vehicles that can tackle just about any terrain?
Ah, yes. Now we're moving into the realm of four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, where traction is king. But that's a story for another part of our deep dive. All right, so let's venture off the beaten path a little bit and explore the world of four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. You know those systems that are designed to conquer challenging terrain and keep you moving even when the going gets tough?
Yeah, I'm picturing like those rugged SUVs, powering through mud, snow, rocky trails, the whole thing.
Exactly. We're talking about enhanced traction,
Yeah.
improved stability, and just that sense of confidence, knowing that your vehicle can handle almost anything.
So first up, four-wheel drive, often shortened to 4WD. What's the secret sauce that makes this system so capable?
Well, 4WD is all about maximizing grip. It uses a special gearbox to split the power between all four wheels, provides incredible traction, especially on loose or slippery surfaces.
Okay, so instead of just the front or rear wheels doing all the work, all four wheels are in on the action. Kind of like a team of horses pulling a wagon.
That's a great analogy. And 4WD systems typically have a selectable feature, meaning you can switch between 2WD and 4WD, depending on the conditions.
So you don't have to have all four wheels engaged all the time, which I'm guessing would be pretty inefficient for like everyday driving.
You're right. 4WD is most effective when you need that extra traction, like when you're off-roading or driving in heavy snow or ice.
Now, I remember reading that 4WD has been around for a surprisingly long time.
It's true. The very first patent for a 4WD system was granted way back in 1893 to an English engineer named Brahma Joseph Diplock,
Wow.
a true pioneer.
That's over a century of innovation. So let's dive into the benefits. Why is 4WD so popular, especially for off-road enthusiasts?
Well, imagine you're trying to climb like a steep, muddy hill. With 4WD, you've got all four wheels digging in, providing that extra grip to conquer the incline. It's like having 4 sets of hiking boots instead of just 2.
Yeah, I can see how that would make a huge difference. And I've heard that 4WD systems also have something called a low-range gear. What's that all about?
Low-range gearing is like a secret weapon for off-roading. It essentially multiplies the engine's torque, giving you incredible pulling power at low speeds. So it's perfect for like crawling over obstacles, navigating rocky terrain, or towing heavy loads.
So it's like having super low gears on your bike for those really steep climbs.
Yeah, exactly.
But with all this extra capability, I'm guessing there must be some trade-offs.
You're right. 4WD systems are more complex, more components, more moving parts, often means higher costs, both upfront and for maintenance.
And I imagine all that extra hardware probably impacts fuel economy as well.
That's true. 4WD systems can be less fuel efficient than their 2WD counterparts, especially if you're driving primarily on paved roads, where you don't really need that extra traction.
And I'm guessing they're not exactly known for their nimble handling on pavement either?
That's another consideration. Because 4WD systems are designed to have all four wheels rotating at the same speed, they can feel a bit clunky or awkward when turning on dry pavement.
So while 4WD is the ultimate off-road companion, it might not be the ideal daily driver for everyone.
Exactly. But there's another drivetrain option that offers a more balanced approach, combine that all-weather capability with a more refined on-road experience, all-wheel drive, or AWD.
I knew we would get to AWD eventually. It seems like a lot of car commercials these days are touting the benefits of all-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's true. AWD has become increasingly popular in recent years, and for good reason. It offers this unique blend of traction, performance, and safety.
But isn't AWD basically the same as 4WD? I always get those two confused.
It's a common misconception. Understandable why people mix them up. Both systems send power to all four wheels, but AWD is a bit more nuanced and sophisticated in how it does it.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
AWD is often described as like a smart system because it uses sensors and electronic controls to constantly monitor road conditions and adjust power distribution between the wheels in real time.
So instead of being mechanically driven like 4WD, AWD relies on electronics and computer algorithms to figure out where the power needs to go.
Precisely. It's like having this tiny computer constantly analyzing the grip of each tire and making adjustments to ensure maximum stability and control.
That's pretty amazing. So if a wheel starts to slip, the AWD system can instantly send more power to the other wheels to maintain traction.
Exactly. And it could do this proactively before you even realize you're losing grip.
That sounds incredibly reassuring. especially for driving in like challenging weather conditions.
Absolutely. And unlike traditional 4WD systems, AWD is designed to be seamless and unobtrusive. You don't have to switch it on or off. It just works in the background, constantly adapting to those road conditions.
So it's like having an invisible co-pilot, always looking out for you, making sure you stay safe and in control.
That's a great way to put it. But AWD isn't just about safety and stability. It can also enhance performance. Some high-performance sports cars and sedans use AWD systems to improve acceleration, cornering ability, overall handling.
So AWD can make a car both safer and more fun to drive. That's a win-win in my book.
You're right. But of course, as with any drivetrain, there are some trade-offs to consider.
Let me guess. It's probably more expensive than a standard 2WD system.
You're sharp. All those sensors, electronic controls, extra components add to the cost of the vehicle.
And I'm guessing it might not be quite as fuel efficient as a 2WD car either.
That's true. AWD systems can slightly reduce fuel economy because they have more moving parts, require a bit more energy to operate.
And what about off-roading? Can AWD handle the rough stuff like a 4WD system?
Well, AWD is fantastic for navigating slippery roads and handling light off-road excursions. It typically doesn't have the same level of capability as a dedicated 4WD system when it comes to serious off-road adventures.
So maybe not the best choice for like rock crawling or tackling extreme terrain.
Exactly. AWD is more about balanced performance and all-weather capability rather than hardcore off-road prowess.
So AWD is like that versatile all-rounder, great for everyday driving, handling a variety of conditions, even adding a bit of performance flair. But if you're planning on some serious off-roading, 4WD is still the king.
That's a great summary.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored FWD, RWD, 4WD, and AWD. It's fascinating how each drivetrain has its own unique personality and strengths.
It really is. Choosing the right drivetrain is all about understanding your needs, driving habits, the kind of experience you're looking for behind the wheel.
So what does this all mean for our listeners? How do they make sense of all these options and choose the best drivetrain for their next vehicle?
It really does come down to matching the drivetrain to your lifestyle and your priorities. There's no single best drivetrain. It's all about finding the right fit for you.
Okay, so it's kind of like choosing the right tool for the job. You wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a screw.
Exactly. Each drivetrain has its own strengths and weaknesses, and understanding those can really help you make a more informed decision.
Okay, let's break it down then. So if someone is looking for like a practical, economical, fuel-efficient daily driver, what would you recommend?
In that case, front-wheel drive is a solid choice, generally the most affordable option. It delivers excellent fuel economy. And for most everyday driving situations, it provides perfectly adequate handling and stability.
So if you're primarily commuting, like in a city or suburban environment, and you're not looking to win any drag races, front-wheel drive makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. But what if you crave a bit more excitement behind the wheel? What if you value like responsive handling, sporty acceleration, that feeling of being really connected to the road?
Now we're talking about the driving enthusiasts.
Exactly. For those who prioritize performance and handling, rear-wheel drive is often the preferred choice, offers a more balanced weight distribution, which translates to better agility and a more engaging driving experience.
But as we discussed earlier, rear-wheel drive does require a bit more caution in those slippery conditions.
Right. It's a trade-off. You gain performance and handling prowess. But you need to be mindful of that potential for oversteer, especially when the roads are wet or snowy or icy.
Gotcha. Okay, so front-wheel drive for practicality and efficiency. Rear-wheel drive for performance and those driving thrills. What about for those who need a vehicle that can handle anything Mother Nature throws at them?
For those who live in areas with really challenging weather conditions, or frequently venture off the beaten path, that's when we start to consider those all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive options.
Makes sense. So let's talk about all-wheel drive first. We know it's become increasingly popular, but why? What makes it so appealing?
All-wheel drive offers that seamless blend of traction, safety, and performance. Constantly monitors those road conditions and adjusts power distribution between the wheels to maintain optimal grip, even in those slippery situations.
So it's like having an invisible safety net, always there to help you maintain control, even when you encounter those unexpected patches of ice or snow.
Exactly. And because AWD is often integrated seamlessly into the vehicle systems, it requires no input from the driver. It just works in the background, providing that extra layer of confidence and security.
But what about for those who need a vehicle for those serious off-road adventures? Is AWD up to the task?
While AWD can handle light off-roading, maybe some dirt roads, for extreme terrain and challenging off-road conditions, four-wheel drive is still the gold standard.
So if you're planning on rock crawling, tackling deep mud, or exploring those remote wilderness areas, 4WD is the way to go.
Absolutely. 4WD systems are designed to provide that maximum traction and durability in the most demanding situations, and they typically offer features like low-range gearing and locking differentials, which give you incredible control and power when navigating obstacles and rough terrain.
Okay, so we've covered the spectrum of drivetrain options here, from the everyday practicality of FWD to the off-road dominance of 4WD. It's really amazing how each system caters to such a specific set of needs and driving styles.
Yeah, it really highlights the ingenuity of automotive engineering and the incredible diversity of vehicles we have on the road today.
But before we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder. We've talked extensively about how different drivetrains affect a car's performance, fuel efficiency, and handling. But what about safety?
That's an excellent point. The choice of drivetrain can absolutely have an impact on a vehicle's safety in a variety of situations.
Yeah, for instance, we know that FWD and AWD can provide better traction in snow and ice, potentially reducing the risk of skidding or losing control.
Right. And while RWD can be a bit more challenging in those slippery conditions, it offers advantages in terms of weight distribution and braking performance.
So it's a complex equation with multiple factors to consider.
It really is, ultimately. The safest drivetrain is the one that best suits the driver's skills, the driving conditions, and the specific vehicle safety features.
Well said. And on that note, we'll bring this deep dive to a close. A huge thank you to our expert for sharing their incredible knowledge and insights with us today.
It was my pleasure. I always enjoy exploring the fascinating world of automotive technology.
And to our amazing listeners, thanks for joining us on this journey of drivetrain discovery. We hope you learned something new and feel empowered to make informed decisions about your next vehicle purchase. Until next time, keep those wheels turning.
If this tech tutorial was helpful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. For more detail, you can visit our blog website www.evergreentechtips.com.